Welcome to this version of the database team weekly meeting. It is Tuesday, February 16th, and first thing we'll do is jump into the InfraDev issues with Jose. I took a quick look this morning, and there were 5 new issues this week. One of them is in our bucket, this query performance review requested, and Andreas assigned it to himself today. The rest of them are assigned to teams. 3 of them are going to continuous integration. 1 of them is going to group runner. Is there anything else outstanding that we should prioritize, Jose? Is there anything you're waiting on us for?
No, just for a heads up to everyone, I will be in contact with the data warehouse team since this is a bit controversial what they wrote in some issues, and I'm trying to understand better the workload. As soon as I have this, I will share with everyone for support. Additionally, I'm working at the moment in a runbook, trying to explain how to gather all the data that we need for the issues. And I would like to kindly ask for your revision as well, or your review for the team to add some values there as soon as I have the initial MR. Sounds good to everyone?
Yeah. Is this regarding the replication lag, that issue?
Yeah, with the analytics team, yeah, with the data team, yes, it's about the delayed replica, exactly.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, you can probably drop off.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
have a nice
Jose.
day, everyone.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was nice and quick. So milestones closing. Are there any release post items or performance improvements that we should include?
I'm not aware of anything for
No.
this one.
Nor am I. All right. All right, Andreas, you get the next topic.
Yeah, just a note there, we enabled reindexing today in the morning, and it worked out fine, so no issues. And there's a couple of links there. I didn't know about the SRE newsletter, which was really useful to see yesterday. So this is a way of sort of letting mostly the on-call know, I think, or maybe also SRE more broadly. But basically, whenever there is an issue that needs to be passed along to the upcoming on-calls, makes sense to post on those SRE newsletter issues. Something I didn't know before. And then, yeah, this is happening on weekdays. So the reindexing happens on weekdays, kicks off at 6 a.m. in the morning. Today it took about 4 hours because it was hitting very large indexes. And it also freed up 80 gigabytes of space today. So I would expect that the timing goes down a bit once we hit smaller tables. So today was all about CI builds indexes, and they are pretty large, or the table is pretty large. And once we're done with them, maybe the timing should go down a bit at least. Yeah, that's just as a heads up. So this is happening automatically from now on.
Is this Epic going to remain open? So this is the automatic reindexing of standard indexes, Epic.
Right. Let me take a look through those issues. Maybe we can just close them, but I'll take a look and close the ones that we don't need.
As a sort of general observation, I spoke about that like half an hour ago with the library team. Personally, I think it's always good to actually close out a large epic, even if there are some like sort of small things left in the backlog, and open up a follow-up epic and say like further improvements, something else, right? So that you actually say like this thing is delivered, we've closed it, maybe there's some other stuff for the future. But I think that makes it a lot easier than having these sort of 95% epics where actually everything is kind of done, and then they'll stay in that state for like who knows how long, right? So I like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And on to the build board. All right, looks like we have 5 closed items this week. Andreas, you're up.
Yes, so this is about the testing pipeline, and we're basically now reporting the total database size change as a metric for each migration, which is kind of nice. You can see, you can immediately see how large that is in production, or you drop a table and similar things. So that's happening, and then the other one, prerequisite, basically a bit of a foundation for adding what we call migration observers. So we can, we continue to add different types of observers for migrations, which report different statistics. One of them is total database size. But I'm also working on query statistics, and that was a bit of a foundational issue. And yeah, those are done.
Okay. Pat, you got 3.
Yeah, the first one, that was just a customer reported issue with the audit events migration. I think we have worked through that finally and fixed it, and the customer was able to upgrade. So that one is done. And the second one there is the same thing. It was I think the audit events primary key had the wrong name, and we fixed that. And yeah, the last one was fixing that helper that wasn't properly syncing the data when the column was renamed, but that migration went out. We're good. So.
Left. So in review, Andreas, you got a couple.
Yes, so statistics for database migrations. This is about adding information from pgstat statements. So basically, you get a nice table of normalized queries and their statistics, and for each migration. This is practically done, I think. So I'm handing this to review today, and I'm basically using those other 2 issues. So the index creation and drop non-partitioned audit events on the left. They both have migrations, so I'm basically using them to test the testing pipeline to see some results. So I'm not going to close them, or I'm not actively working on them, but they're basically an example for migrations that are easy to test or that give interesting results. So I expect to keep them open for this week, most likely.
All right.
And similar for renaming the indexes. So all of them is basically related to testing pipeline.
Thank you. Pat?
Yeah, I don't really have much to report. I wasn't able to really accomplish a whole lot last week. I don't know how much I'll be able to accomplish this week, really. I go tomorrow for my MRI, and then I have my follow-up on Monday with the doctor. So hopefully by then I will have a better idea what's going on.
That
Sorry to hear
sucks.
that.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything that's not on this board that's being worked on right now?
As a general statement in my life, yes.
Yeah, probably. Well, the brief silence means nothing top of mind. So jump over to the triage board. And if my memory serves, this goes from Giannis to Andreas this week. Yep.
Yes. I've started to look at it today, but I haven't gone through it yet.
Yeah, if there's anything you want me to look at, since I'm not really the greatest candidate for coding right now, if there's anything I can help with, certainly I can do that more so, so just let me know. I can help.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Maybe we can discuss a couple of those as we go. And some of them have been sticking on for a while, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe we can close them out at some point. How do we handle assignments on the triage issues? I noticed they are typically assigned to somebody. Is that the triage person, or and are we sort of rotating that as well, or how do we handle assignments, or what's the idea behind it, if there's any?
At least I was just assigning them to myself, not even when I was doing triage, just kind of if I had put some time into it and I felt like I was the best person to keep working on it, I just assigned it to myself.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it's a little bit up to preference. I think the main question here is sort of keeping track of, will we work on this, you know, because this is something we need to do, or do we need more work, and just keeping a record in the issue if there's any specific actions to be taken. I don't think things need to be assigned, but.
I was under the same impression that Pat was just describing. Like, if you spent any time and have some background on it, to assign it to yourself so that someone else isn't starting from zero. Maybe they could just ask, like, hey, what have you done on this, as they take it over. So yeah, I would recommend assigning if you spend any time on it. Is there any issues in here we should discuss? Doesn't look like it. All right. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything in the validation board. This is typically for bringing things in for work, right? So I don't know that we need to go through this right now. And Fabian, you get the next topic.
Oh, this is just something that may or may not be relevant to the database team as well, but I did a bit of spring cleaning for the memory group. And I just wanted to sort of showcase how I sometimes work with epics. I really like epic trees. I think there are two different ways of doing epic trees for GitLab that I can think of. The one is for geo, for example, because we're sort of product facing. We are interested in increasing maturity, right? So I group things sort of by, this is all the stuff that we think we need to do in order to reach complete maturity. For the database team or the memory team, that's maybe not exactly the same, at least not now, because, you know, there's no maturity to reach, right? It's like, it's just a, you know, there are areas or themes that you're interested in pushing for. And so I think this is maybe something sort of for the longer term to think about in databases, like how can we sort of group areas that we work in, right, to make it easier to understand how they connect. And so if you, for example, click on memory efficiency here, you can actually, if you go back in the previous screen, you can click on the little arrow and it unfolds it. Right, and then you see all of the the items that have to do in memory with sort of, you know, optimizing how memory efficiency improvements can be made, right? If you look at running GitLab in a memory constrained environment, there are then sub epics again. And so some of these larger things are more themes or sort of meta groupings. They would likely never close, right? They're more like buckets. But I think it's still nice to have sort of maybe like one large meta epic to hold it all together, some themes, but under that, you know, to have really focused epics that are closable, right? And say like, this is a thing that we're going to deliver, right? And it's actually going to close. And then it helps, I think, to also track progress and say like, these are all the tooling improvements we made over the last year, right? These are all the memory efficiency improvements we made. And that helps at least me keep track of an ever-growing list of epics, right? Because then it kind of pushes out the problem, right? It's like you take issues and then you make them into epics, and then you have an epic backlog that is not organized anymore, right? And so this is a way of handling that. Just as a highlight, not as like a highlight, but more like a, this is a thing. We may want to do that as well at some point.
That's a good idea. Very simple and elegant. I like it. I don't know if anybody or everybody's already seen this, but I figured I'd bring it up again. So Jerry has put together his ideas for the database scalability working group. I'll let you all read the merge request and comment on it. It's not focused on sharding. It does call out sharding, and The wording is very generic in there, and I don't know if sharding will come back into the discussion. And by sharding, I mean the specific sharding. I know there's a few definitions of it. Citus was actually mentioned again in the discussions as a possible future solution. And the comment was it shouldn't be eliminated just based on licensing costs. If the efficiency is there, even though it costs us money, we should reconsider it. So right now, all things are on the table. I'll let you all read Jerry's MR and comment accordingly, but this is not specifically focused at the database tier anymore. There's a lot more architectural changes proposed in this that will largely impact the memory group and some blueprints that are already underway, but we will certainly be involved once this starts going. That's it. We have reached the end of the agenda. Are there any other topics folks want to cover this morning or this evening, I suppose, for some folks?
Just in terms of priorities or focus this week, what I would like to do is bring the database testing in a state that we can hand it to maintainers, basically. And once that is done, I would love to switch gears and go back to or join the effort with the primary key stuff going on.
Sounded, sorry, you broke up a little bit there. So your connection's getting pretty bad, Andreas.
Sorry.
I think this is what you said. So your primary focus this week is handing the migration testing to the database maintainers, and then next you want to focus on the primary key migration work.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Cool. No, it sounds good. What's remaining on being able to hand migration testing to the database maintainers?
It's basically adding 2 more things to query statistics and the query log to make this really useful, I think. And then I think we can let maintainers use that and wait for some feedback.
Okay. That'd be awesome. Do you think that'll happen this week, next week? How long do you think it'll take? Just curious.
Maybe end of the week.
Okay.
If everything goes well, needs a couple of reviews, so could take a little bit.
All right. When's the next database office hours? Is it next week for the EMEA time zone?
Yes, next week, Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't get any feedback, that might be a good place, or maybe it's just a good place to have a kickoff regardless. They don't hear it through the various channels that it's available. So.
Yeah, sounds good. About the primary key migration, Pat, did you get any feedback regarding the proposal that you wrote?
Not too much, really. I think just basically saying like agreement that this is a good approach to start down, and maybe there's some additional ideas that we can layer on top of that. Nothing specific though. My plan was to kind of get everything gathered up that I've been working on and push it up in the MR at least so that everyone can see what I've done so far. And so I'm going to be trying to get that in a state as good as I can the next day or two to be able to, push it up. And then we can see what everyone thinks.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to stop recording.